Stop doing all the things the gurus are telling you to do on Instagram because it's straight up played out. There are so many experts telling you what you should be doing to grow your business on Instagram. You probably don't even know which way is up from down or left from right. And the last thing you want to be doing is something that is going to end up hurting your account. We don't want that. So today I'm shedding some light on the 9 outdated Instagram tips you should be avoiding at all costs and what you should be doing instead to grow your followers, engagement, and sales. Oh, and be sure to stay till the end because I'm going to be sharing one thing you absolutely must stop doing this year if you want to grow your followers like crazy. Hey, it's Kary, your social brand coach, and I help entrepreneurs build authentic and profitable brands online. And you can get started by taking my free training, Insta Strategies for Success, to learn the 3 strategies you must have to attract, nurture, and convert your followers into paying clients, customers, and brand partners. In this video, I'm going to break down 9 outdated Instagram tips you should be avoiding at all costs into 3 sections to add a little organization. 3 outdated tips on content strategy, 3 outdated tips on Instagram features, and 3 outdated tips on account growth. Now that I've set the stage, let's jump into part 1. Part 1 are the 3 outdated tips on content strategy you should avoid at all costs. Outdated strategy tip number 1, posting every day. Now, the belief used to be that the higher your posting frequency, the higher your reach. However, this logic is flawed because your posting frequency has nothing to do with your reach. Stick with me here. When you post on Instagram, your post is shown to a small portion of your audience. And if this small portion engages with your content, then it's shown to a broader portion of your followers. And if they engage, then it's shown to even more of your followers and to those who don't already follow you. Meaning, the reach of your post is highly dependent on the engagement it receives, not how often you post. So you don't need to post every day to be successful on Instagram, and you certainly don't need to post multiple times a day. Don't get me started. The goal is not to post constantly, but consistently. And it is more important to pick a number of days you can actually stick with week after week than posting nonstop until you drop, ultimately leading to you ghosting your account for weeks or even months before you get the motivation or the energy to return. Oh, we've all done it. My Social from Scratch student, Daphne, a homeschooler and network marketer, told me that since giving herself permission to only post once per week, she has successfully increased her engagement and connected with her audience more than ever before. With one follower actually messaging her saying that she was so impressed with how she'd been showing up consistently, even though she only posts once per week. Outdated strategy tip number 2. Posting only video. I swear, the moment Instagram announced that it was no longer a photo sharing app, everyone started treating it like TikTok's evil twin. Every expert and guru with a few followers started preaching the value of filming more reels, abandoning static posts, and turning photos into videos. It's not their fault. Instagram did say they were doubling down on video. However, even they saw the error in their ways, with the head of Instagram admitting that the company had gone too far into video and insisting photos and static posts are still relevant. When it comes down to it, videos still matter, of course, but so does other types of content. Every person in your audience does not want to consume content in the exact same way. I mean, you like a little variety, right? Therefore, you need to diversify your content types to enhance your brand experience. Mix it up. Meet your followers where they are. Post reels, but also post educational carousels and relatable gifts, and yes, even static posts. Basically, don't become a one-trick pony. Educational carousels and infographics are my second highest driver of follower growth, with these 2 posts alone bringing in over 3,000 new followers. Outdated tip number 3. Posting one call to action. A call to action, or a CTA, is a marketing term for words and phrases or questions used to compel your audience to act in a specific way. Like, comment, save, share, DM, download, visit, click, join. It's your way of telling your audience the next step you want them to take. Now, when people first started using CTAs on Instagram, they used all of them, ultimately confusing the mess out of their audience because there is such a thing as too many options, which is exactly why I can never eat at Sonic. So the advice started circulating to only give your audience one CTA to increase conversion, and that being the primary thing that you wanted them to do. So for an example, buy my product. However, a lot of people learn the hard way that if your audience is not ready to buy from you, then your CTA is essentially useless. Enter secondary CTAs. A secondary CTA is a call to action that provides an alternative conversion opportunity or action to the primary action you want your audience to take. Or in other words, it's another thing you tell your audience to do before they leave your post. So where your primary CTA may be on your content or at the beginning of your caption, your secondary CTA would be at the end of your caption. It's your last Hail Mary to get your audience to do something before leaving your post. So although your audience may not be ready to buy from you, they may be willing to subscribe to your email list or just comment on your post by answering a simple question if you direct them to do so. Ultimately, the inclusion of a secondary CTA is known to increase conversions by 20%. So stop only using one call to action. Personally, I like to include call to actions on each of my posts to engage with my content, dive deeper into my page, and to convert to an email subscriber or student. That way my audience can select which option makes the most sense for them, effectively increasing my conversion rates of my CTAs. Are you having trouble even getting people to visit your page, let alone engage with your content? Watch my video on why the algorithm hates you to learn the secrets to beating the IG algorithm fast. Look at me sliding in a call to action before I move on to the next point. Now that we've covered the outdated tips on content strategy, let's move on to part 2. Part 2 are the 3 outdated tips on Instagram features you should be avoiding at all costs. Outdated features tip number 1, overselling in stories. Ever since Instagram made linking to external websites available to everyone and not just accounts with over 10,000 followers via the link sticker in your stories library, there have been a ridiculous amount of courses and trainings popping up teaching business owners how to sell in stories, to the point that that's all people have been doing. Sell, 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 sell. Which, let me remind you, your audience hates. Ultimately leading to a decline in your story views across the board and a lot of people just abandoning stories altogether, which is sad because stories is by far the best way to connect with your audience in a personal and profitable way. Think of it like this. Your feed is a way for your audience to fall in love with your brand. Your stories are a way for your audience to fall in love with you, the person behind the brand. And since over 90% of users are choosing to support, invest, and buy from brands and people they have a personal connection with, if you aren't using stories to connect with your audience in a meaningful way, you are totally missing the boat. So what should you be doing? There are 3 types of content you should be sharing in your stories. Personal content, such as behind-the-scenes photos and videos of your day-to-day activities that invite your audience into your personal environment. Relatable content, such as your personal anecdotes of your successes and failures and struggles, the things that make you human. And exclusive content, such as valuable content that is only available in your stories, like deep dives, additional tips, strategies, or never seen before items. And on top of sharing the right content, you should be encouraging two-way conversations with your viewers by utilizing engagement stickers, such as polls, questions, quizzes, and share yours. My top 3 stories that received the highest reach and engagement were all personal, relatable, and exclusive content. Outdated features tip number 2, over planning your lives. Have you noticed over the past couple years, lives have become a whole production? Like, in order to go live, you have to have a presentation, slides, and even an event planned out just so people actually watch it. Well, here's the thing, that's not actually necessary. Although lives do provide a platform for you to showcase the value your brand has to offer, they are also an amazing way to connect with your audience in real time, to show your audience that you are a real person that wants to connect with other real people. With Instagram leaning more towards authentic, informal, conversational content, more of your audience is going to be expecting for you to jump on lives just to hang out and chat. So instead of planning out your live, just carve out some time in your week where you can go live for 30 minutes just to connect. But oh my goodness, what if nobody joins? Because that is a real possibility. With this strategy, you are asking your audience to randomly be available to chat when you are. So to take the pressure off of you just sitting there in silence, waiting and hoping for people to join, have a personal story in mind that you may want to share. Something about your week, something that happened to you in your life, or a few questions you recently received from your audience that you may want to answer. And pro tip, when your lives start streaming, immediately start talking, because your audience will see the first 30 to 60 seconds or so in their feed. So make it interesting to entice them to join. My impromptu lives received nearly as many views, likes, and comments as my pre-planned live, and those take 10 times as much effort to deliver. And I get way more DMs after my informal lives than I do after my presentation style lives. Outdated feature tip number 3, over scheduling your posts. So with the Instagram guru mantra of be consistent, be consistent, be consistent, many users started turning to scheduling platforms such as Later and Hootsuite to schedule out their Instagram content so they could remain consistent. It was actually recommended by dang near everyone as the best way to remain consistent. And although it sounds good, and for certain people like social media managers, it's absolutely necessary, there is one major flaw in this logic. Consistency without engagement does nothing for your page. Well, actually, it harms it. What you need to understand is that actively engaging with your audience on Instagram is way more important than posting. So if you schedule your content to post at a time that you are unavailable to engage, and let's be real, most people do, you will do more harm than good to your account. Not only is it essential to community building that your audience sees you are actually present and engaged, but also unreciprocated engagement, meaning if your audience engages with you and you don't engage back, will lead to lower engagement moving forward, making it that much harder to get your content seen and to grow your account. I optimize my engagement by manually posting my content each day at a time that I am available to be present and engage with my audience. And I manage my comments in real time on a platform called Buffer. If you haven't taken the time to optimize your account, definitely go and check out my video on how to set up and optimize your Instagram business account for more sales, engagement, and followers. Now that we've covered the outdated tips on Instagram features, let's move on to part 3. Part 3 are the 3 outdated tips on account growth you should be avoiding at all costs. Outdated growth tip number 1. Not humanizing your brand. Once upon a time, hard sell tactics and cold outbound promotions worked wonders on Instagram. No connection, no relationship, just sales, and it worked. People made millions. But after years of being inundated with marketing messages, people on social media have become jaded, desensitized, triggered, and just plain sick and tired of businesses and brands selling to them online. People are now going to great lengths to avoid marketing messages altogether, choosing to only follow, engage, and buy from people that have a personal connection with. Meaning, it's time to stop hiding behind your brands and start putting yourself in front and center. Your audience wants to connect with you, not your brand. So how should you go about humanizing your brand? Let's start with the easy stuff. Your profile picture should be a photo of you, not your logo. Your first name should be at the title area at the top of your bio, and your face should be in your content. Now the tough part. You need to start getting personal with your audience in your content. You need to share your stories, invite them into your life, and showcase your unique personality. You need to let them see you. Or in other words, you need to start being a real person on Instagram. My Social From Scratch student, Michelle, the owner of an online therapy and wellness business, says the moment she positioned herself as the face of her brand, she began to grow and connect with her audience in a whole new way. Outdated growth tip number 2, not having a niche. Somewhere along the way, as content started to become less filtered and more authentic, it became cool to be multi-passionate and all over the place, with people believing if they cast a wider net on Instagram, they would attract more people. And sis, that couldn't be further from the truth. With over 2 billion users on Instagram and people following as much as 10 times as many people as they followed just 3 years ago, the more general you are, the more you will get overlooked. There's just too much competition for the same eyeballs. So to really stick out in a sea of samesies and twinsies, you need to get extra targeted on who exactly your page is for, so that when that person visits your page, they know without a shadow of a doubt that you are for them, and they stick around and they follow you. Now, I'm not talking about personal pages. If you just use Instagram for fun, then go post whatever you want, go crazy. But if you're using Instagram to grow a brand, then you need to get laser focused on what you talk about and who you are talking to, so you actually grow. Because if you try talking to everyone, no one is going to listen. And if you try talking about everything, then all you're going to do is confuse the mess out of someone who happens to land on your page. They're not gonna know what you're talking about, leading them to leave your page without so much of a like or a follow. My Social From Scratch student, Tara, a mindset business coach, niched down her target audience from business owners to real estate agents and has seen explosive growth with interest in her services from new followers. Outdated growth tip number 3, not posting original content. With the introduction of Reels came the overwhelming pressure of jumping on trends. I mean, you couldn't Google an Instagram tip in the past year that didn't include using a trending audio or performing a trending dance, leading to our feeds becoming one long video stream of copycats. Now, if you jumped on Reels when they were first introduced and you did all the most popular trends, you probably attracted tens of thousands of followers. We all know those super popular Reels gurus that blew up due to Reels, but things have changed, my friend. Since the inception of Reels, there are now 100 times as many creators making Reels as there once was, meaning in order to stick out, you must be original and unique. And not only that, but even Instagram updated its algorithm to promote more original content, saying they have improved ranking for originality. So nowadays, if you want want to succeed on Instagram, staying on brand is going to be way more important than staying on trend. So what does that mean? It means creating reels using your own voice, like talking head reels where you just sit and talk directly to the camera, or recording your own voiceovers for audio. And it means putting your own unique spin on trends so that it best showcases your unique brand and communicates directly to your unique audience. I created a reel using my voice that received 3 times as many views than the reels that I did around that same time that were on trend. And with over 500 creators using that audio that I created, it brought in new audiences from all around the world. If you are ready to start attracting a community of your ideal followers, then you need to get your hands on my 10K in 10 weeks workshop, where I spill the tea on the 10 secrets I use to grow my account from 0 to 10K in just 10 weeks. Plus, get access to the Instagram challenge workbook and tracker so you can grow your followers like crazy. Now that you know the 9 outdated tips you should be avoiding at all costs, I'm gonna give you the one thing you must absolutely stop doing this year if you wanna grow your account. Here is the one thing you absolutely must stop doing this year if you wanna grow your account on Instagram. Stop using hashtags just to get more reach on Instagram, and start using hashtags as keywords to help Instagram properly categorize your account. The goal of hashtags are to get your post seen by more of your ideal audience. However, account reach is only one way that hashtags help you get seen. Hashtags increase your reach and discoverability by helping your content show up in search results. But more importantly, hashtags increase your categorization and popularity by helping your account show up as suggested posts on other users' feeds. And with hashtag reach and search being at an all-time low, it's time to start using hashtags to help Instagram properly categorize your account. So how do you do that? By strategically using hashtags on your posts that fall into 3 categories. 1, your niche. Choose target hashtags for your industry to signal to Instagram who you are and what you do. 2, your content. Choose hashtags related to your content's post and caption to signal to Instagram what your post is all about. And 3, your audience. Choose hashtags your audience are actually searching for to signal who you are trying to attract. Shoot for 2 to 3 hashtags in each of these categories. Drop your hashtags in your caption, and finally start getting your content suggested to more of your ideal followers. The moral of the story: not every tip is a good tip, and there are definitely outdated tips you should be avoiding at all costs if you want to grow your business on Instagram. Now drop in the comments some outdated tips I might have missed. If this video was helpful for you, go ahead and hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. And while you wait for next week's video, follow me on Instagram and put me in your favorites to never miss a post. And remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, so give yourself boatloads of grace every step along the way.